Hello, friends, and welcome to 10 Points Under, where if you can't take the heat, you probably shouldn't play on a lava map. This is Big Bullfrog, and joining me today again is Dysole. Great Heroscape Dysole. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, so Dysole coming back for another game. She actually specially requested this game, so I'm really excited to let her talk about it. This is a game from the Online Con series of events again. This is from the main event. This is actually round 5. Main event, reverse the whip. It's like
It's the championship event.
yeah. The championship event, and so this is day 1, round 5. Basically, these two players are playing to make day 2 of the championship. So this is going to be Major Q23 over here on the left side. So he's running one squad of Axe Grinders, Derek Ambershard, Tandros Creel, 3 squads of Maro drones, and an air elemental. And then over on the right, we've got ThorSavage or XthorSavageX, depending on how formal you want to be and use his full name. He is running, let's see, Izumi Samurai, the Tagawa Samurai, the Kosuke Samurai, Hatamoto Taro, and Marku Essenwein. Nice samurai build. So these are honestly 2 of my favorite armies that I saw in the event. There were tons of cool armies in the event, though. I mean, honestly, if I could do a video where I just talked about the armies from the event, I probably would do that. But I know, Dysole, you've got some very, very good thoughts on Major Q23 since you special requested this. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about that.
So Q23 and I, honestly, like every year when we go to Gen Con, we both kind of look at the other one's army and we're like, I like this. I like this. As I think he and I just kind of think similarly, where we're like, let's put together a bunch of disparate parts that don't really seem to make a ton of sense, and but there's some stuff going on there that isn't immediately obvious.
Hmm.
I remember actually, I think I was playing an army with his, and I was like, by the way, you do know that I can take Otanashi and move her over to this cliff. He was like, shh, don't tell people that. That's what I'm thinking. So he has those things where have little hidden like things within it. This particular build is pretty on brand for him. He definitely plays what I think vegetarians called the toolbox army. Essentially, it's an army that kind of can handle. It has a tool for just about every situation.
Hmm.
I think I tend to lean more towards splash when I'm building stuff, which is kind of it's less toolboxy and more it's less a tool for every occasion and more. I know there's been other ways to describe it. I think the way that I would describe the difference between a splash army and a toolbox army is the splash army has a game plan. That game plan might not always be apparently obvious what it is. Like on the build that I brought to Gen Con last year, which was 2 times dividers, 2 times Roman archers, Nikitas, and Raylan. That army's game plan is essentially boils down to let the Nikitas do their thing. And if the Nikitas don't do their thing, you're in some trouble.
Hmm.
Um, and there's the other pieces like the dividers and the archers and Raylan. They all definitely provide pieces to that, but the overall game plan is highly dependent on the Nikitas doing stuff. Whereas a toolbox army kind of can adjust its game plan a lot more easily than a splash army. And a splash army usually has Raylan, which is also one of the reasons why it tends to be a little bit less flexible than a toolbox army because the toolbox army can, and I know Orc Elf Army 1 does a number of these. Infected Sloths 2019 winner is Splash or Toolbox, depending on how you want to describe it. It's kind of like a weird hybrid of the two because it's got Raylan, but it's also got a bunch of different parts that work really well. It's just a bunch. It was a squad of Horned Skull Brutes, 2 squads of Heavy Gruts, Nirak, Raylan, squad of Mezzos, and I think that's everything. There might have been like some filler in there that I'm forgetting about, but I think that was everything.
It was an
Uh,
awesome army, though.
oh yeah, no, it was a great army because again, but it has a lot of tools that it can use
Hmm.
for what is best required by the particular situation. So I think to me that's kind of the difference here. This particular build that Q23 has brought out, um, he's usually got a build that involves dwarves. It's usually 2 squads, but I mean, 1 squad in Derek isn't bad.
Hmm.
He's got, I mean, Tandros Creel usually shows up in his armies, and he loves Tandros. I do as well. I've consistently called him Tandros Creeloy Jenkins. The reason for that is because I played a game was losing terribly, and then just started shouting Kreloy Jenkins every time he attacked, and he kept killing things. I didn't win, but it was a pretty impressive rampage, and so that's kind of what he's always been for me. But the thing with Tandros is that he does so many things well. He is a massive tank. He can shoot from range. Cleave is very useful and is definitely something you have to play around. And Combat Challenge makes it very difficult if you're wanting to attack something else. And because he's super beefy. So Tandros usually shows up in his armies. He's done the 3x drones before. I'm not 100% sold on 3x drones, but I definitely see the value of it, especially with how hard it can be to play as opposed to just mass drones. My biggest complaint with 3x drones is that essentially it's very easy for you to lose your full attacking power. You just need to lose one drone. But that said, it still has a lot of potential. So I can definitely see it as a solid piece. I think my biggest complaint with the army that he has here is it feels like the drones and the dwarves are kind of filling the same tools. I think he'd be better served by swapping one of those out for heirloom and some Tarn Viking warriors, which would still be very on brand because he loves both of those figures because they're great. But heirloom kind of gives him a bit more of a ranged special, and Tarn. Tarn are a bit beefier than either of those things. So that would be kind of my thought as far as what would probably have made this army a little bit easier toolbox wise, but overall it's definitely an army that I'm not surprised at all that he would play. And it definitely has a lot of potential, both in what it can do, because it's got a lot of different pieces that can do things. And it's also not an easy army to pilot because there's at least 3 good options for order markers in each turn. The Air Elemental is an interesting choice, and since the army is primarily melee, my guess is that the Air Elemental is in there primarily to gum up opposing melee armies, which is kind of like what you see with Thor's build, which is honestly it's the build if you're going to make a build that is designed to have Hatamoto in it. If you're going to make that kind of build,
I thought the build for Hatamoto was a bunch of dwarves.
So again, you can definitely win with that. I mean, there's a particular person whose name starts with M and ends with Athias Maccabeus who did that, but Hatamoto was not by any means part of that army. Like, I think he actually got sat during the army, but basically, if you're trying to build an army that functions around Hatamoto, this is the army. Like, you're really not gonna get an army that's gonna do it better than this one. Like, yeah. And it's the biggest problem I think with or at least the biggest drawback to the army is it is 3 unique squads, and unique squads are much more high variance than they are much more high variance than what Q23 is running, although admittedly he's running the dwarves kind of like a unique squad, but a bonding unique squad, which anyway, but still the fact that that Q23's army is almost primarily melee is hard. But at the same time, and especially with Hatamoto helping out the Counter-Strike stuff, which is one of those times when you wish you had someone like Heirloom or something like that, where you can just be like, well, I'm not really concerned about that.
Where you've got.
But I mean, honestly, they're not terrible figures to fight it with, because I mean, Tandros again is great, and Cleave is really painful to this army. Everything has 3 attack, except Derek, who can get up to 6 attack, which again could be particularly crucial. It's definitely going to be able to have a lot more board control than what Thor can do. The lifts don't really help either of them. I would probably say the shortness of the map probably helps Thor a little bit more, because it means he kind of, what is Hatamoto's are like 8 or something?
Yeah, I actually just checked that. Yeah, it's 8 spaces, so yeah,
so he can basically hit most of the board without even moving. So that's really helpful for Thor. Whereas Q23 doesn't quite have an aura like that, although he can definitely kind of spread out more and be able to do some things. Yeah, the glyphs are pretty much irrelevant, like not entirely so, but like neither glyph really helps Thor. I mean, he could send Marku over to Loden at this point on his first turn and risk getting dunked into lava, but that's not really worth it. For Loden, like if it was Valda or Wannock, or
Right.
there's a number of other glyphs that it would be worth it for,
Or
but
unique
Loden
attack would be
really
really
only
good.
helps you for a single initiative roll, which is probably never going to make a difference when you need it, and Q23's drones, which I just don't see Q23 ever grabbing Loden with that.
Mm-hmm.
So my assessment would be that I think Thor's got a slight edge, but Q23 is definitely got a build that is not like completely out of the water. It's definitely got some stuff. And the lava as well is also not great for unique squads because
Right.
especially if say Tandros like traps a unique figure on lava. I mean, I already know the end result of this game just based on some knowledge of things, but I'm just saying like there's definitely ways that despite the army being almost primarily melee with Tandros being literally the only ranged option, there are definitely ways that Q23 wins this. And I think a lot of it is going to be how quickly the what happens with the what happens with the Izumi is going to be less important than what happens with the Tagawa and what happens with the Kazuki.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that Kazuki charging assault on this small map that's also really big
Right.
because they might be able to hit something on order marker 1. Not no, they'd have to lose initiative.
Oh, okay.
You have to lose
If you lose
initiative, but
initiative.
then you could
Oh, yeah.
probably hit something on order marker 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So yeah,
definitely
that's
true.
kind of my assessment pre-game of the thing. Yeah, mostly the reason I wanted this game is because I wanted a chance to talk about Q23 and his armies and just Splash and Toolbox armies, which are, I mean, yeah, I build like honestly my army that I brought for this event, I literally don't I don't think it really fits into Splash or Toolbox. It kind of fits more into the range and melee army or something. But
I can see that.
honestly, I do build those kind of splashy splash slash toolbox slash but yeah, usually what you'll see from usually the ones that bring these to like a main event at Gen Con or a championship event like this is going to be someone. Yeah, you're going to see like Q23, Infected Sloth, and Orkel Army 1. Those are the kind of builds that they tend to bring.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually some really interesting pieces in those.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get started. That's probably enough pregame analysis because I could probably talk about this sort of thing for hours.
No, same. I mean, I think that's a great analysis, and I love seeing these kinds of armies going in. And actually, just like right off the top, before I forget, I think you mentioned Veggie's got some classifications where he
Yes.
talks about like Splash, Toolbox, those kinds of armies. If you're interested in Reverse the Whip, and if you want to learn more about these kinds of armies, there's a great thread about it that Veggie made where he talked like basically what Dysole was talking about, where he kind of listened to find different kinds of Reverse the Whip armies. I love reading it, and there's some good discussion, and you can go in there, you can ask questions, all that good stuff. Reverse the Whip is one of my favorite formats, and I love just like seeing all of the archetypes that go into that. So, yeah,
You should link it.
yeah, it'll be linked. So make sure you check it out if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get the game started, and it should be starting. Yep, there we go.
Okay, so looks like starting off with Kazuki and Marku and Hatamoto, whereas 2 on Tandros, 1 on Dwarves, and 1 on drones, which means Tandros is probably going to move to a place where he can just kind of purvey the battlefield. I actually think that his first order. Oh, he moved Marku to there. He's got to roll for it.
Interesting. Yeah, he's
He's
got to
got to
get that
roll for it.
rolling. There we go.
He rolls a 2. So, I mean, Loden doesn't hurt him. I don't think that was the best move but at the same time,
Yeah,
okay. Order marker on Tandros, so Tandros is going to go. Yeah, right there is perfectly fine spot. If his next order marker is on Tandros, he's probably. I don't think his next order marker is going to be on Tandros.
yeah, I would doubt that this early in the game.
Well, mostly because at this point, well, if his next order, if his order marker 3 might be on Tandros. The thing with moving Tandros out this early is he wants to either snipe at some of these dudes, which
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Thor's got to be careful because the Kazuki are especially vulnerable to this.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's only an attack of 2, but they've only got a defense of 3. And what is it? Hatamoto counts blanks as shields.
Yeah, blanks his shields, but I believe only against melee attacks. So
Oh, it's only against melee attacks. So
yeah,
yeah,
so if he's
so
sniping, it doesn't even matter.
yeah, and now it's on the drones, which we'll see what they do for that. And he's going to get to move at least 3, but he probably wanted to move a lot more than that. And he gets to move 3,
Yep.
which in that case, I'd probably just move up the back ones. You're not going to get sniped at.
Nice.
You can kind of just sit and honestly, yeah, if one of them is going to be able to determine the uh yeah, if one of them is going to be able to determine who where the battlefield happens, it is going to be much more oh, that
Hmm.
one's going for Loden. I mean, there's no other order markers on the drones. It's going to be either on Dwarves or on Tandros, which means the way he's got his Dwarves positioned, I really don't think it's on the Dwarves. Like, if
Right.
it is, I'm going to be surprised, but I'm pretty sure that. So, what might happen though is that the Kazuki might just run up this next turn and try and kill Tandros, which is not a terrible decision. Especially because I know the next door marker's on Kazuki because that one is sitting on lava,
Yeah.
and it's just there's no good reason to put them on lava this early. It's not worth the fake out.
So this drone is that? Do you think that's bait over here to kind of draw in a Kozuki and then get a height attack down on it?
Could be.
Maybe.
The thing is, like, the Kazuki literally can all. I'm pretty sure they can all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I don't. Let's see. So this one, one, two,
So the
three,
back
four.
one can't get to. The back one can't get there, but the other 2 can. So you can get 2 attacks of 5 on Tantris, which is not bad. I mean, he's one of the beefier figures in the game. 4 defense, 7 life. That takes a bit to get through.
Oh, interesting. Wait, what? What
I'm
happened?
assuming that's not his turn. Because if
Right.
that's his turn, that's dangerous.
Wait. Okay.
They are probably talking in a chat thing.
Oh,
So
I think I see what. I think there was a con. So wait, Marco and then Kosuke. So he could
no,
just
it
be
should be
passing.
as
Yeah, I wonder
Romeo
what he's
Kazuki on
saying.
Kazuki. Like if he's not doing anything there, that's very dangerous to just sit there and like if you're gonna do that, at least move that
Oh
dude
yeah,
off the
hit him
lava.
like back there if you wanted to play it safe, but
So I'm assuming he hit the done button too early, especially with how
probably.
quickly that done button popped in there.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I have been wrong before about what people are doing. And yeah, the next order marker is going to be either on Tandros or Dwarves, which honestly, even if you do run the yeah, okay,
Here we
he's
go.
moving that Kazuki. The question is where? Up onto further lava, which is oh,
Okay,
okay,
going
okay.
in.
That's the kind of move I was expecting.
Here we
And
go.
the other one can get to Tandros.
Let's see, this one? Two, three,
Yes.
four, five, six, seven. I think one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight.
Oh, never
I'm
mind.
counting too
Okay.
short.
I'm bad at counting, as Kevin Dola showed us in that one game that I played.
Oh, that happened once, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah, there's no reason to charge an attack Tandros. You can, but your better play is just moving to the 2 space and protecting that Tagawa from any kind of initiative switch or anything.
Hmm.
That's really your best plan. Like you don't want to sit on that lava and give yourself a 50% chance.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
Tandros could run up and attack you, but that's I'm so happy that I have Veggie's little app on my phone to check this stuff.
Man, I wish I could get that on iPhone so bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so basically, it's a slightly better chance that Tandros is going to. Yeah, I mean, although, yeah, I mean, Tandros could snipe one of you. Although if I'm Tandros, yeah, I would do that.
2, 3.
If his order
Yeah,
marker
so
3 is
here.
on Tandros, I would absolutely do that. But it's either going to be on Dwarves or it's on
That's on
Dwarves.
Dwarves. Okay.
Okay. Honestly, in that case, then I just say screw it and move up Derek as well because
I mean, you can
just
kind
have
of
as
make a nice
many
little
people
protected
in place
area.
as possible. Yep.
Yeah, hide
Yep.
right there, and then he's got Dwarf here, Maro here, so neither of these are going to be able to be attacked by Kosuke.
Well, yeah. He's basically setting up a little pod thing that is going to make it difficult for them to do things. He could engage with a drone on his next turn, but I don't think he's going to. But it's a nice little setup he's got there.
Mm-hmm.
That'll kind of allow him to do what he wants, but really the plan then for Thor should be to just start moving up all the squads. Well, I guess the Izumi. Sorry, you can leave the Izumi behind because honestly,
Right, their attacks aren't gonna.
their attacks of 2 are fine, but really, you want the Kazuki to do their thing, and then you want the Tagawa to, and then Izumi can probably just clean up whatever's left. Like nothing in this army has amazing defense besides Tandros, and
Mm-hmm.
Tandros is probably going to be near the end of his life at that point.
Right.
And one of the nice things about the way that Q23 has his setup is that if you do engage him and Tandros decides to attack, Cleave comes into play.
Oh yeah, big time against 3 defense figures that are 100 points for the squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you got to be super careful about that because it's honestly like that's the thing. Like, and he's got 2-1-1 again. So my guess is that Tandros is not order marker 1, and he's got pretty much them all on Kazuki. I don't think Tandros is going to be his order
Interesting,
marker 1,
interesting.
just because honestly, I think drones is number 1.
That would
If
make
if
sense.
if I'm being honest, I think drones is going to be number 1.
Although
And he's
if
going to
drones are
basically.
number 1, that's kind of sad potatoes here because they're not going to be able to get much of a counterattack in. Or I guess there's
Well,
this
that's
one,
fine
this
because
one.
honestly, like you're fine with that. Like that's kind of the thing is you're anticipating Tandros being able to ouch. That is not a good start. That is not a good start. Like if Tandros dies on this first turn,
Oh, that would be
that
terrible.
really hurts. Because then he's definitely lost an order marker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's
Okay,
not
so
going to
there's a
die on
block.
this turn. Wow, I
Man,
mean,
interesting.
okay. Now to be fair, 2 wounds is
Yeah.
pretty normal.
So 2 wounds is fine. It's just always interesting when those 2 wounds come from 1 skulls and blanks.
Yeah. Okay, it's on the dwarves. Oh, actually, no, that does make some sense. And
Oh.
honestly, the annoying part here is that he doesn't have many great attacks, and his order marker
Oh,
on
oops.
Tandra,
Yeah, that was an oopsie. Number 2 on X
which is
grinders.
actually really good for him.
Oh yeah.
I think that was a bit of a risky play because you're essentially counting on losing initiative, and now he takes 2 wounds from that,
Oof.
so that really hurts.
Oof.
Um,
That was. So wait, why
yeah,
do you?
and now
No,
the
not one,
Kazuki
two,
might
three,
just end up
five,
destroying
6,
him
7,
on
8.
this turn.
All right. So here's the line of Hatamoto's influence. Just attack that one. That one's outside of his influence. Then you don't take 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me see one. Yep.
Still though, I mean, from the start zone, that's a huge range for Hatamoto Taro. Definitely OP.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, and now Tandros is dead, and
Holy
that's really
cow.
painful. Um, and now you're gonna kill a dwarf because he inadvertently revealed that order marker, but
Well, also it's
well,
like
Derek
only
is probably
attack.
gonna run up here and engage those three because Derek can actually straight up avoid those attacks, and he's gonna attack that one because he gets 6 dice.
Mm-hmm. But man, that's brutal. Especially dying in just those first
Honestly,
two
yeah. Well,
attacks.
I mean, and that's kind of the thing is that, like, yeah, you definitely should have gone for the one outside of the aura. And then he blocks it. So this is really hurting
Holy
because
cow.
if you can't kill the Kazuki, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But also, if you notice, this is a great situation where you'd want heirloom because oh look,
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
yeah.
Just
No,
great
and
little map.
heirloom is such a great figure and is a figure that Q23 loves. He probably doesn't love heirloom as much as he loves Tandros, but he definitely loves heirloom, and that probably would have worked a lot better for this particular army. But I mean, also Three Skulls is also really good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So now there's a Kazuki that shouldn't have rolled for that, but it's a thing. And yeah, that was not the best for him because for Tandros to fall that quickly, that really hurts, especially because you'd want Tandros, especially for those Tagawa.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's huge losing him that early. I,
And moving there so that way the drones don't get to come in and do their thing.
mm-hmm.
Um, well, I mean, it's probably on drones, but who is he attacking? Tandros and sorry, I mean
Derek.
Derek, and Derek just it's like, nope.
You can't attack
Yeah,
me. I'm in the
I
shadows here.
like honestly, I wouldn't have put my order marker one on. I mean, honestly, like it was nice when he lost initiative that he got to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And ouch, that hurts.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, the thing is, if he wins initiative, what's he gonna do? Just basically sit back? I don't know. Order marker
Right.
3 is on the drones, so like honestly, it might have been a good idea to just have your air elemental out in front and do some stuff just because that air elemental kind of needs to be sitting there and doing stuff. Like there's no reason, like you definitely had the ability to do it instead of like say moving out the dwarves on your third order marker, just pop an air elemental in there.
Mm-hmm.
Make it harder for them to then they basically have to stop. But and he's also getting only to attack with 3 drones, which is really painful.
Right.
Um,
Is he just okay,
he's
he's
just
only
going to
attack.
attack with one skull with 3 dice.
But yeah, I think like the air elemental, especially against the Kosuke. I mean, granted, hindsight 2020. We now know that
Yeah.
Kosuke were the first wave for Thor, but I think in
Well,
anticipation of
Kosuke
that,
were
putting out
always going to be the first
yeah,
wave.
yeah, right. I mean,
There's
like I feel like
literally
that's
no
a
other.
pretty safe
He's not
bet.
going to leave with anything else.
Yeah, so I feel
And
like
so
air
ultimately,
elemental counters that so good.
yeah. So I mean, the air elemental
So
definitely
well.
messes with that and kind of allows you to kind of set some stuff up. Um, let me see how likely it is that in. Let me just see something here. So what you would expect from. Let's see. So honestly, I mean, 6 attacks of 5 should deal roughly about 6 wounds. So
Okay.
I mean, it's not too unsurprising. And then that single attack, from Tandros, you got about a 22% chance of getting counterstruck there. So, looking at honestly, it's not unsurprising that that would have killed Tandros. So,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if it was me, like I feel like Q23 is being a little too cutesy here. The reason what I mean by that is essentially he's dividing up his order markers a little too much, and like like I said, the dwarves and the drones are kind of doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you're not really getting you're not getting anything special out of activating either. They basically are doing the same thing. So why are you activating both of them at the same time? Honestly, I think he probably would have been better served getting Tandros into a good position and then just going all out on drones. Like, I think that would have probably been a more beneficial play because that just kind of gives him the opportunity to kind of do some stuff. I know when I played his army I played an army kind of like this with, I think it was like dwarves and drones and stuff like that. No, there wasn't any drones. Dwarves and Tarn, and I think there was a squad of Phantom Knights
Okay.
against my 4th and Templar Cavalry. He led with 4th, whereas I led with Tarn and Phantoms because I knew that those were basically going to be the best units to lead with, and I just kind of was like, I kind of just emphasized them for a little bit until they were kind of not really in a position to do so. Okay, now he gets a big roll on drones,
There we go.
but
Yeah.
I mean, there's also nothing to really do with them. Order marker 3 might be on dwarves, but
I wouldn't be surprised with
I mean,
that guy right there.
he gets to move with 9 of them, and there are
There are 8
8 of
remaining.
them.
Yeah.
He can definitely move to right there. He can definitely move to, but the reason why he probably doesn't want to do that is because that Tagawa can run up and attack him, which that just seems pointless to do that. So
Yeah.
you're better off moving there. Like, honestly, I would have just left Marku alone. Like, Loden isn't doing any favors for you. It's not hurting you. Maybe you lose an initiative to it, but honestly, the odds of that are just so tiny. And like, if he has to activate Marku again, then there's a very good chance that Marku takes a lava bath.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see. And now he's threatening where if something doesn't happen with those Tagawa, he's kind of stuck. And he can't actually engage any of them, so he's kind of forcing Thor to let him have first strike. And if Order Marker 3 is on the dwarves, honestly, I just kind of suicide them. I honestly put them in good positions and hope that they kill things. So at this point, you kind of need to kill these Tagawa before they get too good. And
yeah, they're kind of facing their dream right now with all of these low defense figures.
So it's a bunch of 3/3s, which are it's very easy for the Tagawa to kind of go on a spree. It's also worth noting that based on that Thor placement, if it's on dwarves, you can't actually do anything. I think that is still only 3. If I am Q23, honestly, well, let's see. Pulling up the thing again.
See what a 3v5 looks like?
It is honestly the same probability of it is honestly, you've got about like 34% chance that you get yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, running one up there and maybe getting a hit in, like, at this point you kind of need them to come to you, and there's no real need to not do that. Like, sure, now they have to kind of swoop around that way, and they're both 6 move figures, but oh gosh. Thor can only activate 3, and Q23 can activate a lot more, but I mean, you got 5 defense with yeah, oh, actually, sorry, I did some math wrong. Yeah, no, you got a very good chance of getting counterstruck. So you kind of want to, like, that is actually a bad placement for Thor because yeah, Yeah,
this.
if you
Yeah.
lose initiative,
Oh yeah, that's bad.
drones are coming, and
Yeah, one,
honestly,
two,
they
three, four, five,
need that
six.
for attack.
Definitely, these two spaces are gonna be. Yeah, I mean, like, especially where you've got like Tagawa into drones is such a nice play
Yeah,
for
you
you.
don't want to give the, and honestly, even the one back here, like the one back in this spot here, um,
Which one?
so
Or
the
oh, the
single
drone.
lava behind the Tagawa.
Single lava behind the. Wait, behind the Tagawa?
Yeah, behind the Tagawa on the very back of the map, right behind underneath the word sand.
Oh, this guy.
The one the move up the lava,
Oh,
that
so
lava
that
space.
lava space. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, you could absolutely use that lava space as well. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the nice thing about that lava space is the Tagawa can't even really counterattack you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, right
yeah,
there, and
that's I really don't like that placement.
it's a very
But
initiative
he'll probably win
gamble.
initiative and be fine.
Oh no,
Or not. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Is it drones or dwarves? Because if it's
the
oh,
drones
and he
into
gets to
20.
move all of them,
Oh man.
and he gets to attack with all of them. I would have moved that one up one
Yeah,
more space.
Q23.
Either that one
Weren't you
one more
listening to Dysole? You need
space,
to move right there.
or I would or up onto that single lava. Because well, actually, looking at it, there's not really a good way to get more than one. I don't know why that one moved down there.
Down here.
That confuses me
Right.
because
Yeah, I don't. That's odd.
unless you're hoping to get them to come after you that way, I don't really
I
know.
guess, but they're not going to take disengagement attacks through there. So, and why not?
Yeah.
You've got the forces. Why not just kind of build up? This guy could have been here if this one was there. That's
Yeah, I'd rather take 2 attacks of 4 down than 1 attack of 4 and 1 attack of 3,
oh yeah,
which
especially against
is
5 defense Counter Strike.
yeah. But I mean, now you're kind of setting up. I mean, what'll happen though is that the Zagawa next turn are definitely going to move up onto those 4 hexers,
Mm-hmm.
which are going to make them a pain to take out.
Oh yeah.
So, like, honestly, this is a tough sell either way. But you honestly kind of at this point, I feel just need to kind of just throw attacks and
Yeah,
hope that you kill things because
just kind of go full flunge and just kind of. I mean, you just gotta grip it and rip it at this point. But
oh my gosh. Oh, he really would have wanted that on a different one. 2 skulls with 4 dice. Ooh,
there you go. There
ooh,
you go.
ooh. That's good, but it's
Okay.
not good enough. Ugh, I don't know. Yeah,
Just
I
declining the
yeah,
attack. Yeah.
I don't think it's worth attacking with that other one. But yeah, now these 2 are gonna move up there. Yep, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna get to attack down with 4 dice on 3 defense. So honestly, what might not be a bad idea for Q23 to do, and this is me being all sneak alike, is honestly, if you can find a way to trap them up there on the lava,
Oh.
that might honestly be one of your best ways to win. Like, I don't know if there's a good way to do that, especially since you since you won initiative.
Right.
So, like, honestly,
Oh, we're doing X grinders.
um, yeah, and there's not really any good places to get Derek. One, two,
Yeah,
three.
that feels
Like you can move Derek up and do an attack of 4 on 6 with Hatamoto, but that just feels like asking for trouble. And
right.
yeah, no, I don't understand that order marker at all. Like I said, he's being a little too cutesy with his order markers. Like
Right.
he's
Yeah, I mean, like you need to get the attacks in, even if they're bad attacks. I mean, you just kind of want to crash. I think with the drones at this point.
yeah, pretty much. There's like honestly, like yeah, you kind of do want to suicide the dwarves at this point. Like I guess unless there's another order marker on him, but
You're only getting one attack in.
yeah, honestly, that attack of 3, and again, I don't know why that drone is up there attacking Marku. Like, I legitimately think that should have put Tandros in a nice place and then just kind of went drones,
Mm-hmm.
kind of setting himself up so that way Dwarves and Derek could potentially go after the Tagawa, because then you can kind of just engage him with some axe grinders, and then what you can do with that is basically, well, one of the other advantages if you were going all drones is you could start sneaking them around the other side and start attacking Tagawa while they're like, asleep, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now is the time when, if order marker 3 is on drones, oh boy, you could get some hide attacks down, and that's kind of what you need to win. At the same time, you still got those Azumi to get through, and at this point, the Azumi aren't going to be very powerful, but they're definitely going to be able to punch their way through things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely
Like,
at this point,
honestly,
kind of.
I don't like Q23's setup here, like, at all, and yeah, and Derek just
Yeah,
dies
yeah,
on that
that's a
hit,
big
so
ult
now
for
they're at
Sweet.
full power. Like, yeah, they're 6/5s now. Like, honestly, Tagawa are just so
It's their
good. Like,
final
the game that I
form.
played against Q23, Tagawa are just, I had them in my build because I like playing Tagawa. They're fun, but Tagawa can just go off. Oh, hey, you take the zero wait. Oh, it's a 3 skull attack. I thought it was a 0 skull attack, and I was like,
Oh,
oh, you take that.
right.
But no, like, honestly, at this point now, they're just kind of cleaning up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really think that, I mean, Tandra's
Let's see.
dying definitely hurt, but if I had a complaint about the way that Q23 has played this, and it's on the Dwarves, what
Why
interesting
though?
play. Like, honestly, like, and it might work out here, but and it
Still
doesn't.
locked, yeah.
But like, honestly, like, I don't know, like I feel like Q23 was just trying to be a little too, I don't know, it feels a little too clever for its own good with how it was
Right.
playing. Like, honestly, like, so especially with toolbox armies, you want to make sure that you're fighting the battle that you want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said there, with his army that I was playing when I was doing the 4th and Templar build, I wanted dwarves to fight Templar, I wanted phantoms to fight 4th, I wanted Tarn to probably fight Templar. So that's kind of the thing. It's like you that's kind of the setup that you wanted, but honestly, now we might just be able to just go like kill almost everything here.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me on that. And so, like, honestly, like, yeah, no. So, and for this particular matchup, your best chance of killing the Tagawa is going to be either Tandros or Derek.
Mm-hmm.
And your best chance of being able, and honestly, everything else is fine against the Kazuki, which is probably why you want to have the drones started off, because the drones are going to be the most able for you to kind of sneak around and start pounding attacks on sleeping figures, which is another way that you win this game. And at this point, he just doesn't have the figures to kill the Tagawa. Like, and so that's kind of the thing. Is like Q23, it felt like he was trying to play both the dwarves and the axe grinders simultaneously, and
Mm-hmm.
they just weren't really, yeah, they didn't really cooperate with him that way. And I think, again, it's like I said, dwarves and drones and dwarves kind of fulfill similar roles in
Right.
that they are melee numbers. Although the single squad of dwarves and Derek is a little different in this build, but even so, like, honestly, yeah, I think he just needed to diversify this army a little bit better. But even playing this army, like, he was spreading out his order markers in ways that I don't think was conducive to things, and it kind of set him in a way that, yeah, he opened himself up to that Tandros hit there, but like, honestly, like, if he'd set Tandros up, had a bunch of drones move up, and then like put the air elemental in a spot that would make it hard for the Kazuki to move in, and then just basically threw them all on drones, he's kind of forcing the Kazuki to kill the air elemental, and then drones just swarm the Kazuki, kill them,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can probably move and start trying to kill as many of those Tagawa as you can, and then use your dwarves to finish them off with Derek's 6th attack. So
Right.
like that's kind of the plan that you should have done. Like it's probably the way that you win this game, especially on this small of a map with Hatamoto. You're going to be attacking to that aura. So honestly, yeah, you don't really like you want to get as good of attacks as you can, and honestly leading with the drones who can kind of like those 2 drones are doing down there, sneak around. And you know what though, like that air elemental doing that it's
That's
not
pretty
nothing,
big.
but at this point it's kind of like cool, but it is gonna die because
Yeah, as long as this placement is good, you'll have an attack back at it.
well, that's the thing. Like honestly, see what the Tagawa are kind of being stopped up here, and so the air elementals can kind of do this. This would have been great if it was the Kazuki, which probably would have saved Tandros from all those wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just kind of like, because yeah, you don't really want the Kazuki fighting Tandros. You want the Kazuki having to fight drones or something stupid like that, where they're, oh no, you killed one of my drones, I have 8 more. Like that's what you wanted that battle to be. And that's the biggest way that I think toolbox armies get played most efficiently, is when you figure out when you fight the battles that you want to fight to make it happen.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that's right on, and especially, I mean, so kind of like you were saying, I think probably my biggest gripes is not using the air elemental in the early game against the Kosuke, because that's just such a big thing. I mean, right here it was in a nice spot where it could block off this little area from an attack on this side,
like what I've probably done, this 2 hexer right here, the 2 hexer, like either right here. Actually, no, I probably, yeah. So where I probably would have put the air elemental is the 2 hex. So you see where these lava. So no, sorry. Okay, so there's the 2 single space roads. There's the one level 1 road, and the 2 hexer right next to it. That's right beneath the 3 lava, the single 3 lava. Like go up one, go down.
Like right here.
Not that one. That one right below it.
Right below it, right here.
That's where I would have put the air elemental, because if you then run to engage that air elemental, you get stopped. Actually, then I get looking at that, because they might go up on that 4. But the truth is, like, if they do kind of, as long as they don't, either way. But what you kind of do is you've now forced them into a position where once they do start attacking that air elemental, you can basically get height on all of them. And so,
especially with drones coming in, I mean, like,
yeah, so that's kind of what you should have done there, and just kind of had Tandros either ping behind it or something. Like, so that's kind of where I would have put that air elemental, and I think I would have done it like, I would have really tempted to do it maybe like order marker 2, because like you put your order marker 1 on some stuff, so that way you don't want them to just kind of like rush in and stuff, especially with how they're doing that, because there's no way he's not leading with Kazuki. That's kind of the one that he's going to lead with, and then you want to get it set up here, and yeah, probably do air elementals order marker 2 or 3, because at this point, honestly, the game is basically wrapping up. It's just a question of like what might have been a better game plan. I think that having that air elemental there at the start, because like I said, you want your drones to fight the Kazuki, you want your dwarves to fight the Tagawa, and then you want Tandros to kind of finish off the Izumi, and have him maybe be there to kind of, provide a hit as needed for stuff. Like, that's, I think, the ideal way that you win the game. But like, honestly, like, because on this map with that aura of Hatamoto, you're just,
you're always attacking into that.
That's so tough to fight into. So you want to make sure that you're absolutely maximizing that fight to the best you can. You want to be able to get as many attacks as you can. I don't know what Q23 is necessarily showing here, but that is a really good setup, is having Tandros and Derek in the same spot. And honestly, that's the thing. Like what you really need to do is you need to because Tandros is gonna die pretty quickly to a bunch of 5 attacks.
Oh yeah.
After 5. So what you want to do is you don't want him to be out there as often. Honestly, like I said, I think that's why having that air elemental and then the drones would have been better. I mean, I feel like it would have been even better if he'd had heirloom, because then
Right.
okay, I could just kind of like snipe you. So, but no, like honestly, like this wasn't going to be an easy matchup for him.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely think there was a way to win it. I'm not really super thrilled with his order marker choices.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. Like I said, that's how I would have played this out. And I mean, these are kind of the builds that he does well. So I mean, I don't think I want to like thrash on him too much and say I know how to play your armies better than you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like,
I.
but if I was playing it, that's kind of the game plan that I would have gone for.
Hmm.
And because Thor's art game plan is pretty obvious, especially against this. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
good glyphs for the Izumi to grab, so you're gonna lead Kazuki, and then once the Kazuki cleanup, it's gonna be Tagawa, and then once Tagawa are done, Izumi are kind of your cleanup figures where 2 attack isn't much,
Hmm.
but you're probably not gonna have enough left in the end game to take out that 5 defense. And you probably never need to move Taro the whole game because of how small the map is. So
Right.
that's the game plan that your opponent is going to play. So you want to make sure that you're playing in the matchups that you want, and that's how you win a toolbox army. Like because the whole point of the toolbox army is it's got a tool for every situation. So you want to make sure that you've adjusted your plan to match that. Like in a lot of other matchups, what Q23 did at the start here, bringing out Tandros, bringing out the dwarves and the drones and stuff like that, that's actually probably a really good setup against something that's got like a lot more common squad stuff or a lot
Hmm.
more like you know there are definitely armies where I think that would work really good as a plan. I I just don't think it was the best plan here. It's kind of like I was saying with the difference between toolbox and splash armies. Toolbox armies, you have to be a lot more flexible to kind of change your plans as to this is what I was gonna do, but actually, since my opponent is probably gonna do this, like they're probably the army that most requires you to figure out what your opponent is going to be doing and play to that.
Hmm.
Because if in like my splash build with like with that Nikita build, you as long as the Nikitas can kind of do their thing, that's kind of the key thing. I think I played one guy who actually led with the Nikitas, and it ended up working out really nice for him because of the map. It's until Nirak caught up with them and started attacking them, which then caused it to be a lot harder for him to recover from that. So if you kind of deviate from the splash plan without a good reason, the splash army's plan, you kind of put yourself in a potentially dangerous spot. Whereas with a toolbox army like this, you want to kind of adjust like I said, just adjust the plan to what you're fighting. And
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure with how I didn't see Q23's other games. I don't know who he beat or didn't beat. I definitely know that there's a pretty good chance that whoever he was fighting did not play his army optimally because it's not
It's
an
a tough
easy
one.
army. It's not an intuitive army. It's
Hmm.
got lots of little moving parts. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing. Like this was not a good draw for him, but I don't think his order marker placements did him any favors because yeah, he just like I don't know what the dice rolls were on this, but he also didn't get like missing that cleave
Oh yeah.
also really hurt. Um but to be fair, I don't think order marker 1 should have been on Tandros because if he loses initiative,
That's yeah. That's the
is he
target.
gonna run up to like the 4 and shoot down? Like Like, I don't know what his plan is if he wins initiative there, because
Mm-hmm.
it just felt like one of those things where, I mean, that is not a terrible plan because then it's 5-on-5s, and I don't know. But with only the first order marker on Tandros, it felt like he was planning on losing initiative, but there was no really great move if he won initiative. And
Yeah.
then Tandros just died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, he did get an attack with Tandros, an attack that dealt 2 wounds to himself, but
You're right.
I mean, at the same time, like, I don't know. Like I said, that air elemental, moving that air element, like if you're gonna split up your stuff, I think bringing the air elemental in earlier, especially against an all melee army,
Yeah, it's huge.
air elementals can be painful.
Especially, I mean, like, especially with like the Kosuke, they get their +3 move if they can, engage. They can engage against the air elementals that maybe sometimes even slows them down even more, and
Yeah,
just takes off that offensive edge that those Kosuke have.
yeah. So like I said, I feel like that would have been the setup to go for, and probably do like order marker 1 Tandros, order marker 2 air elemental, and then order marker 3 drones, and then just put a bunch of drones and keep moving them on up. So that way, worst case, the Kazuki have just killed your air elemental, but then next round you can kind of just go and start killing them. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
That's kind of my thought process. At the same time, like if you're going to do that, I'd probably move Tandros back one more space, so that way, even if the Kazuki engage him, you have some ways to kind of engage them.
Right. And I think honestly, so that's something that just to kind of like add to what you've said already that hasn't really been touched on too much yet is just like the design of this map is just so it's going to be so um clustered right here. If you're going for this Tandros placement, then I mean you can be pretty sure you're gonna have samurai, 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 and you're not gonna be getting very good attacks back in. And so that's why I love this air elemental and drones to open up with, because that instead like clogs things up for your opponent, but your Mario drones can still like move. They've still got like all of this area to move in. I mean, there's still water over here, so it's not like perfect, but trying to do Tandros and Dwarves and Mario drones at the same time in this small of an area, just I mean, I that was another thing I was feeling during the game was that just they were just tripping over each other. I felt like.
So one of the things about this map that you have to be really careful about
Hmm.
is that these two lava sections. Essentially, what it is if one of the people has range and the other one doesn't, it's actually really easy to kite on this map.
Oh yeah.
It is stupendously. You can ask Kevin Dola about a game that we played once where I had Thericus and Akalar in a pod army, and I basically moved Thericus over to this far glyph down at the bottom, which had Valda on it. So Akalar just sat on Valda the whole game.
Nice.
And at the end of the game, Rygarn is basically running around sniping with 6 move
Oh
and his
man.
defensive special, and Kevin just could never catch him.
Yeah.
So that's another thing why I'd want to make sure that Tandros is around for the end game is because you can just kind of like he's only got 4 range, but honestly, that's actually you can do some lot of things. You can kind of just sit over here on this thing and ping at people on
Hmm.
there, and it's not really easy to go hunt you down. So yeah, I don't think I definitely think that Tandros is definitely nice in that early game here, but he just has so many ways to die in the early game
Right. Yeah.
that you almost kind of want to save him for later. I actually don't think I said that at the beginning. I think I was liked it more in the beginning, but kind of thinking about it more, it's probably better if Tandros is not subjected to all those early high attacks because
Yeah.
whereas honestly, that's the thing. Like the Kazuki's five dice attacks on drones are the least useful attacks that he can be making, or that air elemental. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, it's dead. I'm so sad. Whereas if Tandros, as you saw, who died super early, it's like, ooh, that actually hurts because Tandros is really helpful against this army. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those things where this particular map and matchup wasn't really ideal, but there was definitely a way to win this game. There
Yeah.
was absolutely a way to win this game, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it involved in and I just I think that what happened is Q23 got his figures essentially tripping over each other and got to the point where there was definitely several times where like because when he revealed that order marker on like the dwarves, I think when
Oh
there was a
yeah.
bunch
When
of drones just kind of sitting around just who weren't able to attack, and that's
yeah.
that's never a good thing in Heroscape. And so I don't know if it's always the best idea to run a toolbox in waves, but I do think that you
In this
definitely
one.
need to adjust your toolbox to whatever you're fighting. And again, I'm not confident that that's what was done here. Like I don't know what the dice say or how lucky slash unlucky Thor got. He definitely played the army the way that he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of times where I thought he was a little too risky with some of his samurai placements, but that like the early Kazuki stuff, like that was fine. Like it's mostly some stuff with the Jagawa where it was like that's a little dicey if you're opening yourself up to a place where
Where you can
so
get like hide attacks down or.
hide attacks because you lose when Q23 is making hide attacks on you.
Mm-hmm.
If he's having to do 3v5s into Hatamoto's aura, you have like a 63% chance of getting a counter strike.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. So you want to make sure that as many of those attacks as possible are happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, yeah, I think he did pretty good job. I mean, like I agree. I think there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, you're kind of giving Q23 a route back into this game. Honestly, one of those times happened. I think when the order marker ended up on the dwarves, and then so that route didn't
Yeah,
quite
yes,
happen.
that's the
But
thing. Like he definitely got helped by Q23 having his order markers in the wrong place at the
mm-hmm,
wrong time. But no, like honestly, I like Q23's army. I think
mm-hmm,
that it probably would have been a better toolbox army with Heirloom and Tarn instead of either dwarves or either drones. I personally think that, you know, having like the squad of dwarves and Derek or two squads of dwarves, whichever would work better. And then Heirloom and Tarn, I think would be a lot more helpful in combating a lot of different things. Because like I said, I feel like the drones and the dwarves kind of cover the same ground and
right,
they don't I don't think they because honestly, like for the most part, they have literally the exact same stats. So like
mm-hmm,
the difference is one gets to attack with more of them and one gets to bond. And so I just I think they're just too similar that you kind of would rather diversify if you're going to go like this. So
yeah,
that's just kind of my thoughts on army construction. But I like the basic idea of what Q23 is trying to do. Honestly, I usually like these armies. I usually look at them and I'm like, yes, that is fun. So, like I said, I think Q23 and I definitely have very similar army building principles because he definitely he's got plenty of his favorites, but they combine and mix and match nicely with what they can do. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I loved this army. Unfortunately, this was the only game. I mean, also the only game I got to see of Q23 because I was playing in this tournament. If I wasn't playing, I
Mm.
would have been like watching just about every one of his games. I'm sure, even if I wasn't recording, I'd be watching it because I love this army. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like I said, he hasn't sold me yet on the 3 times drones.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't dislike it, but I don't love it. Like I'm like because like I said, I feel like it's just too easy to roll that 20 and oh look, I only get to activate 8 of them because now one of them
Right.
is 10. Like it's not again, it's very useful when you do get that in the early game or being able to have that stuff. I'm not sold on 3 times drones, but I don't hate it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it. But yeah, I mean, on the whole, though, I think this is a really
Yeah.
good game, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for
Well, yeah.
casting it with me.
Oh, and actually, another thing that might have even been better, or might have also worked instead of Tarn is I don't know if the points would have worked for it, but um, Heirloom and like a squad of mezzos. He likes doing the squad of mezzos
Oh,
things,
those are
which
great.
and I feel like that then gives you like another ranged attack here, which would have been nice. But I mean, honestly, that's kind of the thing. I feel like this particular toolbox armor is a little too melee heavy, and like if you're going for an all melee army, that's fine. Like Thor
Right.
did an all melee army, and obviously, he made day 2 with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely, it can be done. I mean, I think I won like season 35 with an all melee army. It is possible, and of course, Matthias Maccabeus has
Oh yeah.
won many things with an all melee army, so you can definitely do it. I just think it's a lot riskier if you're building a toolbox army with an all melee army. Just because, yeah, if you're gonna build a toolbox army, you should have some kind of range that, like, maybe a little bit more than Tandros. I know, oh gosh, another one they like to throw in is Arkmer, which wouldn't be a bad choice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or that 1 times Mezzos. It's the thing, like, you want at least some range in your toolbox army, and I just don't think Tandros is enough range.
Right.
So that's just kind of some of my thoughts about army construction and all that stuff. But I mean,
But yeah, it's awesome.
I kind of go all over the place with my armies. So I definitely think that I would not call myself a pioneer of the toolbox thing. That's definitely more something that Orhiel Army 1 and Q23 and Infected Sloth have kind of pioneered. I definitely can play them and have kind of played things like them. I know that uh, the toolbox armies don't typically have Raylan, and I usually have Raylan because I like to play garbage units, and garbage units with Raylan equals decent units. So
Right. Right.
um, that's so like. But I've definitely played with those kinds of armies enough to kind of have an idea, and it's similar to kind of, I think, like pod army principles. Like, I know that Q23 and I played a pod game, and it's a similar principle there with when you're playing with pod armies, is that you want to make sure that you're fighting the matchups that you want to fight. And
Mm-hmm.
against Q23, I did not do that. And I'm sure that when you show that game or record it, or if you possibly have already done it by the time that this one is up, you'll be able to see that, yeah, I did not maximize the matchups that I needed to have for that one. So
Right.
yeah.
Which is such a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think those are great insights to like just like army construction in general. I love that. I love talking army construction. It...
Gee, I don't know. I hate talking. Yeah, no, I can talk army construction like for days, and
It's probably one of the more fascinating parts of Heroscape to me, in all honesty.
oh yeah, I mean, if different people have different things, army
Mm-hmm.
building is definitely one of the ones that I find most fascinating. I mean, I am one of those people that has, I don't know if I'm necessarily a pioneer of it, but I definitely am a proponent of the, hi, have fun with this pile of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Building.
those ones are the best.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much for casting this game with me. This is a really good one. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed this one.
yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be the game from us. Thanks so much for all the viewers for viewing this. That's always very helpful, and a nice little boost when people actually watch stuff. It's nice. But yeah, this is a great game. I'll go through what I feel like is the usual for the online con games at this point, just because I want to make sure that if somebody just comes in at a random game, you know all the resources that are there. There are going to be tons more online con games coming out. They're going to be awesome. So many cool games coming out. If you want more right now, there are some that have already been released on this channel. Also, though, I will 100% plug. So Filthy's channel, who is ISB3, there will be a link to that in the description below. He casted, he, as along with it, I think Q23 was in a couple of them, as well as who else? In fact, it's Sloth in Orc Farming 1.
Yeah,
I think Leon was in one as well, maybe. But yeah, they did a few games. Those will be on his Twitch channel, so definitely check those out because I mean, I did. They're awesome. It's really cool to hear them talk about the game. Also, I'll have a link to the battle reports thread for online con. Definitely check that out if you want more. Just like more battle reports. It gives you cool insights from the people who actually played the game, which is like one of the coolest ways to learn about what they were thinking about in the game and in the moment. Definitely a good way to just like get more awesome Heroscape content. So there's lots out there. Lots of links in the description that I'll be plugging. Make sure you check them out. But yeah, thanks again, Dysole, for joining me on this game. Do you have anything you want to say or share or anything before we sign off?
I have no idea when this game is gonna air, so I can't really necessarily say like, oh yeah, no, this thing that's upcoming is gonna be happening, because I don't know, like, just based on what your schedule looks like there might not be anything that is ready to plug when this happens. So like, I don't know. It's one of those things where, I mean, honestly, if you want to play it, we usually have something going on, or there's enough people running around that you can probably get a game in or something, and it's not super hard. We try to make it as accessible as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this will be out after the deadline for definitely after the deadline for the current online season that's being signed up, but yeah, we're getting into that part where I've kind of stockpiling up videos, so it's hard to predict. But I mean, I'll just leave a general thing. If there's anything happening, check the description. I'm already linking tons of stuff. I'll throw in another thing for anything current that's going on. But yeah, for sure. I mean, like online Heroscape, it's a great community and a great way to play the game and grow your skills personally. I feel like I've grown a lot as a player when I've played online, but yeah.
Absolutely. The thing that helped me, I think, with online was it allowed me the opportunity to play against and watch people that were better than me at this game, and it allowed me to improve my game drastically.
Yeah, same. I mean, like when I started watching people like Doc, Kevin Dola, you as well, Chris Perkins, like all those top players, all of you top players, playing that. I mean, that just opened my eyes to so many things for just playing Heroscape at a different level. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to do this, and yeah, I'm sure I'll be on the channel again at some point.
I definitely hope so. Yeah, definitely always like the insights that you bring to the games. But yeah, so that's us. Thanks again, viewers, for viewing. Thanks again, Dysole, for co-casting. Great game, great world that we're living in. This will be 10 points under and out.